Hey, I'm Jason Satterlund. Thanks for tuning in as we help you refine your craft and take you to that next level of mastery. So today I want to talk a little bit about how to create a weightless environment in your film. Now, my last film, I had a whole sequence to where the character is in this weird room, this weird box, and suddenly it's like gravity just shuts off and he starts to levitate and gets thrown all around the room as if he's being sucked from left, right, up, down, and center. There's other scenes in the film where he also has to levitate as if gravity's not working, and it just kind of made me think, hey, this might be helpful for people out there to approach a scene where you have an astronaut or someone who can levitate and things like that. How do you actually create a sense of weightlessness? Well, I'm going to say this right up front, that I am not a fan of green screen. I really don't like to use it unless I absolutely have to. I always find that using things practically is always a much stronger approach because you can kind of feel it coming through the screen. So the very first thing that I wanted to talk about is the sense of using wires. Usually when you're dealing with wire work, you're going to have to hire a stunt team. Now, whichever level that you're on, you may not have the budget for a stunt team. And if you don't, well, there's a couple of tricks that you can do to fix that. Number one, at least have someone that's purely dedicated to floating your actor, right? So don't try to do it yourself while you're operating. It should be someone completely dedicated to just keeping that actor safe and off the ground, because once they start to lift, things can start getting dangerous. You want them fully focused on rigging points and how to get themselves out of the way. A great place to find people who would be good at this are rock climbers, because they spend their whole lives rigging people up and hanging from rocks and keeping things safe. Now, if you're going to use the rock climber route, I would not go with a traditional harness, because the harnesses that you use for rock climbing have pick points that are right in the front here, and it creates a way for you to sit in the seat. So when your actor is filming, it's going to rock them backwards like this. It's going to look really weird. It's going to look like they're sitting. And the only way you can really rig off of those is either from the front, which is essentially right around your belly button, or straight from the back. That might work okay for a flying scene, but if they're just supposed to be like, say, floating and operating a console, it's going to look very odd. I would suggest trying to find a way to pick up one of these harnesses here. What this is a full body harness. You actually wear it like a jacket. And they come in all sorts of sizes and shapes. But if you look here, all of these are pick points. So you can hang from the shoulder, you can hang from the side. And this will really help you out when you're having the actor, you want it to be floating, right? So if they're hanging like slightly at an angle, it kind of helps skew it just a little bit, because that's what would happen to you in a weightless scene. Now, if you're working with a stunt team, by the way, all of this information is stuff they're already going to know and they'll have in their kit. This is just for the people who may not be able to afford that. Now, if you're one of those people who can't afford a stunt team and you're on your own to figure this out, make absolutely certain that you are using static lines, not dynamic lines. There's a big difference. Dynamic lines are built for rock climbers, so when they take a fall, it's like a bungee cord and they'll stretch and bounce. A static line means there's no give. Bang, it'll just stop. What you'll notice is when you hang, the rope will give and you'll end up sinking down out of the shot. It'll be this ridiculous bungee that you're trying to get into frame. It's just going to be a nightmare. So get yourself a couple of static lines, try to find them in black. So a stunt team is going to know this one as well, and that is hanging the actor from more than one point. So if you just hang the guy, say from the waist here, and it's only from one point, what's going to happen is they're going to start to swing and twirl around. It's going to be very difficult. Like if this is the camera, the actor's going to be trying to, do one of these to spin and look where he's supposed to look.
Feels like I'm bait for something. It's like you guys aren't really shooting a movie, or you're sacrificing me to a giant.
Having 2 points is going to be much, much better. What that means, though, is that you're going to have 2 people holding the guy in place. This is why riggers come in teams, not just one guy alone, generally. So in our film, we had him levitating. He was being stretched out like the Vitruvian Man. But we couldn't just take the pick points and go from, say, the top of the spine. We actually rigged him from the waist. We had to go up and connect the ropes at the top, too, because otherwise he was going to start to swing and it was just going to get all out of control. So having more control points is always going to be better, because the minute that actor starts to swing, it's going to break the illusion. The minute you see it go one way and then the other, your illusion is dead. So you got to make sure to control all that swing as much as you possibly can. So the next little tip, and this is going to be one that's really going to blow your mind, and that is by using a lambda head or a lambda third axis head. What that allows you to do is to take the camera, we automatically have our tilt this way and our pans, but a lambda head will allow you to do this with it. Now the minute you take a weightless actor and you pick them up, and let's say you're picking them from the side and so they're slightly at an angle, then you rotate the camera slightly, now the audience is going to have a really difficult time telling where the actor is suspended from. They're probably going to assume that you're suspending them somehow, but the more you can break that illusion, the better off you're going to be. In our case, we did that all of the time, all throughout the movie, and that made it so much easier. Having it tilted up, to the side even, makes it look like maybe they're going up and down as opposed to swinging left to right. It's all there to help you break that illusion that they're hanging from one single point in the ceiling. It's a really good thing to note, by the way, that when you're doing these weightless scenes, to really think about where you're going to be filming this, because you have to suspend them from somewhere. So sets are better places to do this, because oftentimes you're going to be shooting in a building with some sort of hooks in the ceiling that you can connect to. But this is really important. You have to remember there's lighting that's going to be up there. So you're going to have in a professional set, you'll have a lighting grid that you're going to be fighting and a pick point. So a lot of times you're going to be in this little square that they're going to be dealing with. So these are all little complications you should be thinking about. Now, if you're outside, this can get kind of weird. So the best and easiest thing to do is to get some sort of condor, some sort of drivable unit that you can bring in and arm out over the top of your action. The other thing about having a head that can actually tilt this way is it makes it much easier to film. It's going to be a lot easier on your actor and your whole scene, because now everyone can just work on their feet, as opposed to the entire crew having to try to operate upside down to the side. And trust me, when you're dealing with suspending a person, your day is going to slow down. It's much like working with weather and rain and things like that. Every time you move that actor, it's take him down and put him up and get a ladder and go over here. It's a huge reset, so make sure you have the time. This one is a really important one, and it'll help you a lot. And that is building the set on its side. The reason why building a set on its side is a really helpful thing for you to do is it's very difficult for the actor to travel through your shot. So like if I have to travel from back here to up here, all I can do is really swing in this arc, right? But the minute I build it on the side, now I can be raised up or down, or I can be lowered into a shot as if I'm dropping onto a console. If it's all on the side, now you can't tell which way the rope is coming from. It makes it way easier. In our case, we actually built a normal set, and then we built it in a V shape. Now the actor can slide pretty easily and things like that. It's all about breaking the illusion that the actor is actually hanging from a rope. Everything you can do to shave that off, the better. This next one is a simple little trick that's really going to help you a lot, and that is by shooting inserts and close-ups. Sometimes what really sells the illusion of weightlessness is what else in the room is being affected by it. So having other things floating, having his feet leaving the ground. Now, when you're dealing with, say, his feet leaving the ground, you don't need to do a big suspension rig. With ours, we literally had 2 pieces of speed rail, and the actor was essentially doing like a, whatever that dips, like a dip, and a couple of grips are holding him, and he just went like this and then lifted himself straight up. Very easy to pull off, no complicated things needed. Now, of course, when you're shooting your suspension rig, you're going to have to be thinking about painting out the lines that they're hanging from. If he's wearing long sleeve clothes, that is very helpful, because then you can hide the rope underneath of things. And just make sure that the rope is not going in front of his face or really in front of his body, because anytime it's in front of a body, it makes it much more difficult to paint. Painting a background is way easier to do. And then all you have to do is get some plate shots of your background, keep the lighting exactly the same, clear the actor out of the scene, and just shoot some plates. Now, of course, I have to bring this up because everyone's going to want to do it, but using green screen, and I would put that at the very bottom of your priority list, at the very last thing you should try. I would only use it as an enhancement. So we did, in our initial scene where we did weightlessness, we only used green screen once, and that was for the initial shot where he lifts up and falls away from the camera. The reason why we used a green screen is because we were swinging him all the way through the set and slamming him into a wall. We had to have a crash pad back there because we wanted it to look like he was falling away from the camera. Thanks for taking a minute to watch, and I sincerely hope that this helps you create your weightless scene. Please leave a like, please leave a comment, subscribe, and all those good things. And if you want to see more great how-to videos like this, click on one of the playlists you see over here, and I'll see you next time.